I'm going to read a few poems. You mentioned that I do arts and healing workshops with LGBT survivors of violence, and I just came from there, and there's something about survivors creating art, which I guess including myself in that, but basically creating art when you've been treated like you're worthless and told that you have no value, and just the process of taking that time to express yourself is an act against that, I believe, of saying that you do matter. So I'm going to start with this poem called Healing. I say I'm on the path to healing, as if healing is a city I'll reach someday, on a street corner, shimmering in stardust, just past the intersection of lasting scars and stitched up smiles. A place so real, I'll sear my lips with an asphalt kiss when I get there. Under street lamps, my busted up body will bask, every spotlight a sunbeam. With legs steady as steel, I'll face spry bakeries and lively laundromats, each open window unfolding a vast blue sky. I say I'm healing, like I'm just waiting for the day. A young man springs up before me with arms outstretched, reaching from iron sleeves of his dim gray suit, carrying the scriptures of my suffering as he asked, have you accepted your own wholeness as your personal Lord and Savior? Through sobs I'll say, I want to be saved, and together we'll pray something like forgetting. And there will be no nightmares there, and we will rise up to the kingdom of the whole, and there will be no nightmares there. I can only imagine. Sleep like rest, not running. And I know I can't reach the city of healing any more than I can embody a supermodel by bearing her clothes. Her threads can emblazon my body, but see how she walks. Her hair can radiate from my head, but just see how she walks, slamming each foot down like she's so sure the ground will meet her. I say I'm healing because I'm trying to get used to the words. I'll be saying them my whole life, I know. I'll be saying them each time my lips part and my voice trembles over the ditch between them. So this next poem is about, I don't know if you've heard of her, she's this little unknown pop star named Miley Cyrus. She's been doing a lot lately, and I have feelings about it, so I wrote a poem. And if you don't know what she's been up to, don't bother looking it up or anything, just consider yourself lucky. This is called Miley and Me. I can't say without cringing that I've got something in common with Miley Cyrus, but it's the truth. Both of us hide out in costume each day, sharpening our tools to redirect the glare of plain sight. Miley arms herself with designer ratchet wear, shields of golden jewels hanging from her ears, her neck, her teeth, and she never forgets the biggest gem in her collection of prized accessories. Her background black girl. Behind her, like a night sky, boosting this little star to her brightest shine. Just like Miley's black girl, my shroud is the sky. Most days I would welcome the conqueror of a cloak to flatten my lumps into nondescription. And I know my ass is beautiful, but just look what happens when it's visible. We saw Miley motorboat a black woman's butt and add a slap for emphasis, but we didn't see that woman's face. I've been the faceless one before. Poked at and played with, all that fascination sinking into me until, on some level, I start to think, maybe I'm some kind of subhuman freak. But there goes Miley, doing that white girl wiggle she calls a twerk, teetering about the pole of her spine with the grace of a rickety speedboat in a stuttered imitation of a nimble jet. And I say, fly, Miley, fly, if that's what you want to call it. Never would I try to stop someone from dancing, and I guess dancing is what she calls it. Only thing is, Miley Cyrus doesn't dance like I do. When I dance, I have no army of black girls here to set the scene. I am the only warrior in my battle. See, I found that finding my rhythm is my only safe escape from invisibility. And movement to music grants me one of very few moments when I can close my eyes without worry of what's trying to touch me. I circle my hips in my own ozone, alone in my sacred space of swaying. When Miley says, look at me, I say mine is the only sight I need. And when Miley humps the air, I say mine is the only body I need. And though we both may dance suggestively, I know Miley Cyrus doesn't fuck like me. I drink from the same spirit spring where I find my rhythm. And there I find love for the making. Love I can keep, love I can unleash from my whole being without fear of some Jezebel, Hottentot, jungle fever idea of desire getting stuck to me. Miley, she crosses so easily into those territories that I struggle to reach. She can do it for fun, not out of necessity, and she can do it to craft her own identity, never losing herself to perceptions of her body as ghetto material target, never taking a bullet to the chest from a gun later said to be aimed at a thug. When will my body be mine again? If Miley removes her costume, maybe I can shed mine too. But this moment hatched so long ago, it's ballooned so much bigger than one Disney star trying to grow up in someone else's shoes. If we could somehow solve this, between just Miley and just me, I'd ask her to help me restore my agency over my own body. And in return, I'd help her put on some grown-up shoes that fit her real feet just fine. And I'd let her fly her freak flag without stepping all over mine. And so this next one's called Emmett Till Cry. And I borrowed a line each from Audre Lorde's After Images, Langston Hughes' Mississippi 1955, and Gwendolyn Brooks' The Last Quatrain of the Ballad of Emmett Till. Here lies my Emmett Till poem. All this time it's been submerged in my depths, startlingly still as a baby born breathless, but it won't stay down forever. How many have paused here before? Langston, Gwendolyn, Audre. The sight of a black child's mutilated body seizes the black poet's tongue, rendering her silent until Mississippi ghosts have haunted her pages. Emmett's mother wanted us to see her son. And none of us can forget a face so torn, not even his mama's hands can find its shape again. She wanted him to be a good son. And he never asked for my tears, and yet here he is, still washing our cheeks with the fallen water. And terror come again as Trayvon Martin's mother takes on that old cry with a new voice. And she knows she's not the first to know this sorrow. And she knows she's not the last. And she is sorry. So now I'm going to read a few from my brand new chapbook that I wrote in conversation with an art exhibit. Christopher Birch was the name of the artist, and he reimagined the character of Briar Rabbit, and he made him this really fucked up, deviant little creature, and basically drew attention to some of the ways that he's not all fun and games. He's actually really subversive in fighting back against what was oppressing the people who first created him. And it also reminded me a lot of folklore from Trinidad and Tobago, which is where my dad is from, so I incorporated a lot of that too. This is the opening poem. It's called All Kinds of Ears. Story time was a darkening eye at the center of this storm. In childhood, story time came to us through the hums of home, grown-up voices at our bedsides. We pulled between the need for sleep and the joy of the story world until dream world granted us both. In school, story time was a pop quiz in the taming of sugar-induced restlessness. After recess, we quieted, save for the crinkle of empty candy wrappers in our pockets, sitting in a circle with sticky hands folded, following the lull of promised stories. And when story time came through our own imaginations, it ate through our circles to introduce the thrill of fear, telling about what we heard, and we all heard about something scary. Guess we were all ears. All kinds of sinister little ears, because we were all, I heard the old lady down the street takes kids into her shaded house, turns them into that stale candy she gives out to trick-or-treaters. And I heard fireflies, a really black magic woman coming to suck your blood. I heard your mama cooks her own toenails into that soup she makes for you. When we were teenagers, story time was an unsealed envelope delivering the secrets of sex. What was it and who we do it with and how to do it from the girl who'd never really done it. I heard you smell different after, like cherry chapstick kissing gutter water. I heard your braces can get stuck on pubes. I heard his thing can get stuck in you. And when we were supposed to be growing up, none of us felt much like growing up, and story time was drunk. And it was all good. Somebody saying, I heard these are the best years of our lives. And somebody else hurrying up, please, to let us hear something else before we got thinking too hard and we ended the night blubbering like just-born babies. One day we did get to thinking, maybe we're growing up. Only because story time meant passing a slow-roasted joint rather than a sweaty flask, and because we talked bad breakups instead of how to get laid. And story time got real quiet, wondering quiet, with each of us in our own time, wondering if we're all hearing different stories with the same rhyme. When we're sure we're growing up, it's only because we do story time to a forlorn B.B. King tune, and we're talking babies and bills, saying, I heard we have to pay taxes the rest of our lives. Repeating our grandparents' last words, saying, I heard you can't pray till you've laughed, and I don't laugh anymore. I heard story time will one day taste sweet again. When I'm the old lady, the topic of the neighborhood's tall tales, and I'm the source of them too. Children will form a half moon around me as I tell them what I've heard. I heard fireflies suck your blood. I heard about fear and I heard about love. I heard these are the best years of my life, and this time I believe it because I've heard enough rhymes. I heard I can't pray till I've laughed, and now I can laugh because I've cried. I heard. I'm going to read a few more. This one is talks about La Diablesse, who's a character from Trinidad and Tobago folklore. She's a woman who's believed to be the ghost of a slave, and she appears as a beautiful woman and lures some man into the forest, and then he sees that she actually has the face of a corpse and one of her legs is a hoof, and she lures him to his death, basically. So this is called Logica Stairs. Wild hogs screech, shrill, your scalp shivers. Me, I am colliding chains. You hear rattling bones, call them clattering coins. You smell enticing musk of a darkening dusk, submitting to night. Cloth falls. Wild hogs know you're not so hard, your flesh not as hard as teeth. Me, I wonder if you'll follow, then how long you'll follow. White ruffles billowing my dress, into the grip of darkness, until the coals of my eyes burn yours, when you, peeking beneath my hat's brim, spy upon what's left of me. And this one's called The Tilt of Your Echo. You seek protection. You seek the preservation of your shadow, where you exist without light, without flesh even, without your senses to make words of your world. This ever-present echo of your existence sometimes serves as your only reminder that sight goes both ways, as the lenses of your perception and as the glass case putting you on display. With your back to the wall, your shadow lurks behind you like a bat's folded wings. It leans away from you, crooked as your deviant side, and just as persistent. You're not one to walk the night, find what daytime would call trouble and dive into her bosom, except when you do. And you don't haunt dark corners or cling to strangers' hips, and you never lie, except when you do. With light on watch, you tell only tales of your angelic behavior, but you won't shake that shadow from your side. Collecting darkness from the nighttime, the presence bound to you becomes more solid, more entity than evanescent beam. Collecting darkness from the nighttime, the presence bound to you becomes more solid, more entity than evanescent beam. You would feel the illumination of its absence, wouldn't you? And you would tell me if my shadow vanished, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you, please? I'm going to read one more poem that appears in this issue. I'm so excited to be part of this issue. It's so beautiful and so much talent in there. I'm honored. So this is called Island's Daughter, and this is my last poem. I know the land only as my fingertips trace it, dotted roads puttering into Tuna Puna. Town of my father's birth rests between market tents, white and puffy, drawn like parachutes just landed on this map of Trinidad. I wish this map would show the highest tree my father climbed as a boy. Let me ascend, meet the dare his small feet left there, and recover the prints he resolved to leave behind. I should know all he knows, I say, while his distance disagrees. Let my feet unveil what he won't reveal to me. I wish this map would show the food my father devoured. I could walk the whole of this island for the good pilau, the bake, the roti. These meals melt from mountainsides, and I don't know where they grow. Can I ever taste their salty steam, wafting from my own stovetop if I don't know where they grow? I wish this map would show where the queer girls go. In places of pretending those girls don't exist, they hold each other somewhere, perhaps in plain sight. Perhaps they are the intertwined vines slipping through the seams of buildings. As I reach for a stem, firm fingers grasp my hand. I wish this map would show home. Show me why my throat sings a distorted, distant echo of calypso, why Trinidad's mosquitoes inflate my skin, trying to resuscitate my dry, dulled skin, why guidebooks detail trails for tourists, but no passages to revival for the island's daughters. This is not a map for finding myself, no, but I know where I am not. There are no lines drawn by hand. There are no parachutes to carry me gently home. Thank you.